welcome to my channel, and today I have a tips and tricks guide for your first powerlifting meet. So first off, I'm just going to explain how a powerlifting meet works. You get 9 attempts, 3 from the squat, 3 from the bench, and then 3 from the deadlift. In your flight, there will usually be 10 people, so you have a 10-minute rest in between each attempt. Looking to compete in the IPF, weigh-ins will be 2 hours before you start to compete. So if your lift-off is at 11 a.m., then your weigh-in will be at 9 a.m. And then usually in between squat, bench and deadlift, you will have around 30 minutes to an hour before you have to start your next exercise. So during this time, you'd usually want to eat some food, drink some water, and then around 30 minutes before you're around to start your next exercise, you'd want to start warming up for that lift. And then before the start of squats, I would personally start warming up around 45 minutes to half an hour before lift off, just so I can feel warmed up and feel as strong as I possibly can to start lifting. To do it first is to get a membership for your powerlifting federation. For example, if you live in England, you'll need to get a British powerlifting membership, which you'll be able to find on the website. And once you do that, you have to look for a competition in your region and then sign up for that. You'll need to run a powerlifting program for at least 10 weeks before you start your competition, just so you have the biggest advantage and you can be the strongest you can possibly be for your competition. And during this preparation, you will also have to choose which weight class you have to be in. If I were you, do not stick to a certain weight class, especially if you're young and if this is your first competition, because there is no point sticking to a weight class unless you're at the elite level and you need to stay in the weight class to place well or hit world records. So make sure you're in the weight class that works well for you and which is easiest, so you're able to make the most progress possible without limiting yourself by staying in a certain weight class. Now moving on to the day before your competition. The day before, you usually want to get as much carbohydrates, calories and sodium, and also enough water the day before, just so you feel the strongest and the best you can possibly be for the next day. Also want to make sure that you get as much sleep possible, at least 6 to 8 hours, so that you can perform the best you can on the meet day. And now moving on to the meet day. Because you won't be in a set weight class, so you won't need to cut to make weight, you'll want to eat food in the morning, preferably some sort of rice, bread, any sort of complex carbohydrate, and then a meat. So either chicken, beef, steak, etc., anything like that. And then for the competition, you will also want to bring another meal that you can eat after you weigh in. Another example of that is rice and chicken, and then a simple carbohydrate like a squares bar, or maybe just some fruit to go alongside that. And while eating all this food, you want to make sure that you're getting enough water in as well. And also make sure that you have electrolyte tablets or an electrolyte drink that you can drink after the weigh-ins, just to make sure that your electrolytes are all topped up. And then during your lift nutrition, me personally, I like to have some sort of sweet like Sour Patch Kids, but other people may prefer to have things like squares, honey and etc. And also during your lifts, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, and if not that, an electrolyte drink or having water with an electrolyte tablet. And now moving on to equipment you need on comp day. Now if you're competing in IPF, you will need to have IPF approved equipment. So the equipment you'll need is a singlet, a belt, wrist wraps, deadlift socks, shoes and knee sleeves. Make sure that you have all these with you on the day. And just another tip with the equipment, make sure that it's equipment that you're used to, that you've used in training, because there's no point buying new equipment a day before a competition and then using it on the comp, because you will not be used to it. And then that may throw you off quite a bit. And now moving on to attempt selections. So during your weigh-ins, you'll have to put in your openers for the squat, bench and deadlift. As a rule of thumb, for an opener, I would always go for something that you're very comfortable with and you know 100% that you can get. An opener should be around a weight that you can do at least 4 reps with. And then for your second attempts, I would gauge those on however your opener felt. So if your opener was absolutely perfect, jump maybe 10 or even 15 kilos. But if your opener moved slower than you wanted it to, maybe only jump 5 to 7.5 kilos. And then that would be the same with your third attempt. Depending on how your second moves should depend what your third is going to be. And it will be much better if you have a handler to help you on the day. That can either be your coach or just a friend that can help you with attempt selections and putting in the weights. And another tip for attempt selection, you will only have a minute to select your next attempt. So make sure that you go to the attempt table before that minute ends, because if it doesn't, you will automatically have a 2.5 increase on your attempt. And another tip, if you are at a regional meet and you're about to hit a regional record, you are able to jump 0.5 kilos to hit that record. But this is not for any other attempt. For normal attempts, the maximum you can jump is 2.5. Okay, now moving on to commands. During a squat, bench, and deadlift, the head referee will give you commands during your lift. For the squat, there are two commands, the start and the rack command. So during the squat, you will unrack the bar, and then once you've walked out and your knees are straight and your hips are locked, you will hear the head referee say squat. Once you hear this, you can start the descent and do the squat. And at the end of the squat, once your knees and hips are locked out, you will hear the rack command. You do not want to re-rack before you hear this command, or you will get red lighted and fail the lift. So make sure to remember these commands on your squat so you can get white lights. And then moving on to the commands for the bench press. For the bench press, the head referee will give you three commands: the start, press, and rack command. So once you unrack the bar, your heels are on the floor, your head is on the bench, and your elbows are locked, you will hear the start command. Once you hear the start command, you will descend the bar to your chest. Once the bar is on your chest, you will need to pause it briefly until you hear the head referee say press. And then same as squats for the rack command, once your elbows are locked out, you will get the rack command and you can rack the bar. But be sure to not rack the bar until you hear the command. And then moving on to the commands for deadlifts, these are the easiest commands to learn. It is only one command, which is the down command. So you can start whenever you want, you lift the bar, and once you lock out your hips, your knees, and everything is locked out, you will hear the down command, where you can put the bar on the floor. But same for squat and bench, be sure not to drop the bar until you hear the down command. And with deadlifts, if you let go of the bar before the bar stops on the floor after the lift, you will get red lighted. So be sure when you're dropping the bar to hold on to it until the bar stops on the floor. If you guys enjoyed this video and want me to make more informational videos like this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe.